Hey guys, and welcome to the Solution Architect channel, and today we're going to talk about our part 4. Apologies for uploading this a little bit late. I was busy with an assignment. So we're going to talk about adding role-based security to a ASP.NET Core MVC application, obviously using C# and Visual Studio Code. So what is role-based security? Role-based security, obviously you want a user to log in. That's authentication, where a user have a username and password. But what you want to do with role-based security, you want to authorize a user to certain parts of your application or certain functions of your application. You want to restrict the user to perform a specific function of your application, and the user can belong then to different roles. Obviously you can have something like an administrator user that can manage users itself, and it can manage roles. And then you can also have company users like sales or finance or operations or things like that. So what are we going to do in this video? I'm going to demo the following about role-based security. Is to add the SQLite Explorer, so we can add data on the fly to the database and to the tables, and then add roles to the database, and then also add an admin user. We haven't done that yet. And then link users to specific roles. So we're going to have a normal user and an admin user, and I'm going to show you how those two link inside the database. And then we're going to add a menu item onto the web application, so we can list products, and we'll show you how the menu item is added onto the MVC application. Then we're going to add the Authorize for ProductsController, so only the admin user can access and add products. And then we're going to run the app, and I'm going to show you. So apologies, this is a long video, but hopefully this will show you exactly what role-based security are. So let's jump into the code. Okay, so open your Visual Studio Code and open your test MVC web application. If you haven't done that yet, you need to go to part 1 or part 2 or part 3, and you have to follow the steps to be able to get to this stage of this project. So open up your project called Test MVC Web App, and what I'm going to do before I start this, I'm going to add a extension. I've already searched for it. I haven't installed it yet. An extension called SQLite, where you have the ability to view your data. So there's a few extensions out there. I'm not sure which ones are the best, but I'm going to try this one and see how this goes. Click on it, install. This is just called SQLite, and this gives you an ability to view the data, to edit it, and things like that. Okay, let's see what it has installed. Go to here. I can see there is already, if you can right click here, you'll see Open Database, and then this will pop up in the bottom here, SQLite Explorer. Okay, just need to make this a bit bigger. We can see what's happening here. And there's your app database, and this is all your tables that's in your app. So what we want to do is we want to go check to see ASP.NET users. There's all your columns that's connected to that, and we can say that this is show table. Let's close this, and there is one user, Joe Block, that is entered. So what we want to do, we want to take this Joe Block and we want to connect him to a role, but we don't have any roles yet. So if you click here and you go say show table, there's nothing in there. So we need to create a role, and we'll have to do an insert on that. So what we want to do is we want to insert a new ASP role, and you've got ID, concurrency stamp, name, and normalized name. Now let me just explain. I don't think the ASP.NET in this is auto increment. So let's see if that works. I'm not going to put anything in the concurrency stamp. It's normally just a GUID, and it's not really needed right now. Just want to put a role in here called admin, and your normalized name normally is all in uppercase. Okay, and then right click here and see, okay, run query. All right, it's run, and now you can go here and say show table. You can see you've got one in there for admin. Now let's create another one here. I'm just going to say number 2. It needs to be unique, otherwise it's going to be an error. And this is called this user. This is going to be our normal users. Right click run. And now if you right click here and show table, you'll see you've got 2 roles here. Okay, now what we need to do is just remember this this table here. We need to go to, we've got our ASP.NET user. Okay, so I'm going to say show table. We've got your ID here of that user, which is a GUID. Not sure why I can't right click on it. And what I want to do now, I want to create between this user and that role, which is your user roles. I want to create an insert there. So user ID is the GUID, and the role, I want to say this user is a normal user. Give it a 2. Okay, right click, run. Insert, let's check our roles now, show table, and that user ID belongs to that role. Now, obviously what you will do is you will create yourself a screen that can do all of this. So an admin user can do that, but you have to do this up front. So I'm going to just register another user on our application, and then we add that user as our admin user. Okay, let's go and start the application. Okay, let's register user and let's call it admin at Now there is a way when a user logs in that you can actually allocate that user or a role, and we'll do that as well. I'll show you how that works. Okay, now let's go back to our application, stop this, and we want to go to first of all go check out the new user that we created. Show table. You see there's a new user there, admin. And we need to copy this GUID, and we can create a new, so we can use the same query here, and we're going to make this guy our admin user. And now if I go to roles, role users, you'll see you've got 2. You've got one admin user, which is 1, and one normal user, which is 2. Okay. Okay, so what we want to do now is, remember we've created the product model, we've created the product controller, and then we've got our views as well. So if you go to views and product, we've got create, detail, delete, details, edit, and index. What we want to do is, because we didn't add any menus yet. Now, if you have not added a menu and don't know how to do that, I'm going to show you right now. So you go to views and you go to share and you go to, I think it's layout, inside layout. Let me just close that so you can see. So you've got in layout, you have your home button, your home link, and you've got your privacy link. And what we want to do is just after this div here, so just after that div, which is your divider, inside your navigation bar, you want to, I'm just going to copy and paste and then explain what this means. I found that the best way of actually just showing something really nicely is actually creating a drop-down type of menu. And when you click on it, then you get a link below it. So you can use this type of button. It's called a button, but when you click it, you will see, and I've changed some of the style on this button, so it doesn't look like a button. It looks more like just a menu item. And then you've got the drop-down menu, your class. So this is important: your class drop-down and your menu. And then you've got a navigation item. Your navigation item is then the product. So the ASP controller name is ProductsController. But remember, this is important when it comes to using controllers in MVC. If you look at controllers here, you see the class name is ProductsController. And this is why this name is very important. Controller tells the application that products is a controller. And when you specify inside your HTML page ASP controller, this knows that it actually needs to go to that controller. And what action does it need to take? The action it needs to take is, it needs to load index. So inside the products controller, you have index there. And what it will do, it will just return a list of products for me. Inside this index, let me explain. We have our application DB context, which is passed to this controller, and it's been instantiated here. And then you basically just return a list to the view, which is the view inside. Let me just go to the right page there. The view inside products, which is going to be this index right here. This is something that the scaffolding is automatically added for you when we created the controller. So let's see if that works. So let me just go through that again. So we added a drop-down box, okay, and we have this controller. When you click on this link, that goes to the index. Let's run this application. Okay, go debug. Okay, you see, I'm logged in here. It added it on the back there. So maybe I can move it maybe to the front. But you can see you've got your products in there, list products. That will go to the list that we added. And I just don't like it to be there, so I'm going to move it to the front of this here. Just a little mistake on my side. Okay, coming back to here, I can see why this is actually looking at the wrong one. So I'm going to just move this partial login is showing the register and login screens, which goes to the a different location there. So I'm just going to move that, and let's pop it in here and then start the application and see what happens. Okay, now you could have moved it to next to here or wherever you want it. You can play around with that. But you can see now this is the admin user, and it goes into list products. So what you want to do is you might want to limit say for example, a user to be able to add products. Maybe this is what you want the admin to do, not the users. So if we log in here as our user, I think it's Joe Block. And now Joe Block can see this, but he can also go and create new products. You don't want to do that. And this is what we're going to limit Joe Block not to do. Okay, so what you need to do next is you need to go to Startup, and on this MVC, add MVC, we have a few things that we need to change here. So I'm just going to add it up here, open it up here, say obj. Apologies. New. Authorization. I have to spell it out. Okay, so policy builder has not been added. Using authorization dot require authentication user and dot build. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to add, is that piece of code onto your startup CS file, and where you add the MVC. Okay, so after you added this, we need to now go to our DB context, which is this one here, and just after this, it's add new services dot add default identity. Oh, we've got it there. Sorry, apologies. We just need to add one more thing inside here called add roles. Identity role. So this is important. If you don't add this, then your roles will not be added, and you cannot check that out. So next step. Okay, now let's go to our controller, ProductsController. And what you need to realize here, what you can do with the authorize, you can authorize a certain role to the controller itself, to the whole class. So everything inside here can only be executed by that specific role. But what you can also do inside your controller, if you don't specify, you can just specify, say, what you need to do here is authorize. Okay, and it's got this, say, using ASP.NET.authorize needs to be added. You see it's added on top there. If you say authorize, then it doesn't matter. You know, it's if you log in, if you're a valid logged in user, you'll be able to do this. But you can then go in here and actually on top of each method also, for example, put authorize, and then you can specify a specific role in here and say, okay, roles equals to admin. Only the admin user can view the index here. But let's test that out then. Okay, so let's go start our application. And what you should see, we're not logged in at the moment, so we need to log in as, let's log in as an admin user first. And the admin user can view products. But how do we know now it works for the other user, which is, I think, Joe.block. And Joe.block do not have access just because of the code that we added here on top of index. So you can also authorize, put this into in the front here if you want no one to but the admin user to access this. Okay, so this is role-based security, guys. It's really simple. You can there is other ways of doing it, but this is the basics. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and click the notification button.